Well, hello again and welcome back. Here we are. And what we want to do for you today is a new recipe that we've just been over the moon about. It's savory breakfast oats. And it came from a recipe that I saw on Forks Over Knives, a savory oatmeal. And so the original recipe called for oat rolled oats. And, we've been moving more and more away from processed foods whenever we can. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, the benefit of whole versus processed. But I started it first. I tried it the first time with the rolled oats, and it was just great. And after the second time that I did with rolled oats, I thought, well, what if this was actually done with oat groats, the whole grain? And so I cooked up some oat groats. And so the next time I did it, the next day, I did it with the oat groats and I liked it even better. So we're going to give you the variety, the version with the oat groats rather than oatmeal. But in the recipe, in the written blog, there will be the option to go with rolled oats or oat groats. So if you don't have the oat groats already cooked, you can still do this in a matter of minutes. So we like that. It's really convenient that way. So we start with 3 cups of the cooked oat groats. And then we add 3 cups of a vegetable. And so we've got the oat groats in here. I started to heat them a little bit. And this is the original way I got introduced to this. The original recipe on Forks Over Knives was done with oats and beets. And I had just done my oats and beets, carrots and beets. It's early in the morning. This is actually going to be our breakfast. This is a little earlier than we usually record. So carrot and beet salad. I had that, and the original recipe said, grate these carrots, grate these beets, and it was just more work than I wanted to do for a breakfast. But all of a sudden, I had the grated carrots and beets ready to go. Now, the interesting thing is that in my carrot and beet salad, I have mango, pineapple, and raisins. That wasn't in the original recipe, but I thought, heck, I'm just going to try it. So I did, and I loved it. So you can have that little sweet added, and these savory oats just still work really well. So I'm going to do it that way again today. In the recipe, and since we've gotten hooked on this, we've done it with a lot of different combinations of vegetables. So we've done it with peas and corn. We've done it with tomato and bell pepper and salsa. Well, there's salsa in it already, but more salsa to make it kind of Mexican-y. What else have we done it with, hon? Broccoli and cauliflower. So lots of different combinations. That savory vegetable is really great. The original was with the carrots and beets. So I'm going back to that today. I've got 3 cups of oats in here. I've got 3 cups of veg. So that's what's going in here. And then we're going to cook this up until the beets and the carrots get nice and tender. Okay, here we go. Back on the stove. I'll turn this up just a little bit to get her going. Okay. So while that's cooking, what we wanted to do was talk to you a little bit about the reason we feel it's so valuable to use whole food ingredients and eat whole foods as opposed to processed. And of course, the processed foods, they're so convenient. In our fast-paced world today, convenience is really important, and it's driven a lot of our food choices. If you look at the supermarket, you go into the market, and half the store is shelves lined with processed foods, packaged meals, processed snacks, just on and on. And the convenience is wonderful, but if you look at the condition of our health in our country, it seems to have a hidden cost. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about the value of the whole foods versus the processed foods. And the first thing is simply that in the whole foods, you preserve all the nutrients. So the food we eat, if we eat it in the whole food form, it's much more nutrient dense. Like, well, let's take a look at flour for one thing. If you make white flour out of the grain, you take out the bran and the germ, and that's where all the fiber is. Well, not all of it, but most of the fiber and a lot of the vitamins and minerals. And so, if you eat the processed foods, you've diminished the nutrients that our bodies are used to getting when we eat grains. Okay, so you have the preservation of the nutrients when you eat it in the whole food form, and the whole grains naturally maintain all of that. Now, the other thing is that there's a synergy of the nutrients in the whole food form. When you take some of the nutrients out, lots of times there is other supplemental vitamins and things put back in. They call it fortified. But what science has begun to show us is that when we take the nutrients out and then add synthetic nutrients back in, the body doesn't use it the same way. It seems like there's something about the way that the nutrients are packaged in the whole food form that allows them to interact better than when we take some out and add some back in. So there's the synergistic value of the whole food versus the processed food. Not only do you get more nutrients, but you get this synergistic influence. And what that means is that we're able to utilize the nutrients better. So it's like an orange has vitamin C in it. But when you eat the orange that has maybe, let's say, 30 milligrams of vitamin C in it, about 15 milligrams of that gets into your body. Whereas when you take a pill, when you take a vitamin C supplement, if there's, let's say, I think it's, if I remember my numbers may not be quite right here, but if you take a 100 milligram pill of vitamin C, you only get about 10 milligrams in the bloodstream. I'm having a little trouble. It's early in the morning, not quite as clear as usual. Bear with me. And so science is saying it's the synergistic effect of having that vitamin C with the other nutrients that come naturally packaged in the whole food that helps our bodies to utilize the nutrients more effectively. So there's the synergistic effect. Okay, so what's the other thing I wanted to mention? Oh, it's like the macronutrient balance. So it's in the same way that we get the synergistic effect of the nutrients being together, packaged in this symphony of nutrients in the whole food form, there's a balance. So there's a balance between the protein and the fat, the amount of sugars, natural sugars that are in their vitamins and minerals. It all has this lovely balance. It's kind of like listening to, a well composed symphony. Everything's balanced. The horn section, the strings, and all of this is like it's pleasing. And when we get our nutrients in the whole food form, it's pleasing in that way, as opposed to when we process it, we start adding fats, we start adding sugars, and we start removing some of the fiber and the nutrients in that. And it's like our bodies are just going, it's kind of this cacophony of a symphony instead of really getting something that's beautiful. Did you want to add anything, honey?
Well, what I wanted to do is check your pan.
Oh, okay. Let's check the pan. So
I'm out of bed, not showered. Both of us decided we'd just do this fast and quick.
Yeah. So here it is. And I think we're getting it, cooked down quite nicely.
Looks great. Maybe show them.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm going to bring it over, show you what we've got here, and then we're going to add the next bit. So we've got that getting tender. So what we add now is the greens. And we add 2 to 4 cups of greens. And I like spinach because the spinach wilts down. So I like a lot of spinach when I do spinach in the dish. And so I'm going to put this in.
That
And
looks great. I love it when we add the greens.
I think this is one of the things that really gets us hooked on. You want to take it? Okay. Gets us hooked on what we love so much about this dish is that it's really balanced with the grain, the vegetables, and the greens. Now, to add a little interest, there's 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. There's a 1/4 cup of salsa. So we'll put that in there.
Yeah, and that adds a wonderful flavor. It really gives it a depth and richness that I love.
It does, doesn't it? It's a wonderful depth and not too much and not too little. It's just right. So I'll stir that in so that the spinach gets nicely wilted down and the flavors of the nutritional yeast and the salsa are mixed through there. We'll put it back on for a few minutes.
Looking good.
Yeah, it's looking good, all right. Okay, this should be enough for now.
And then when that's cooked, then you'll dish it and add the other things. Huh?
Yeah, then we're going to top it with avocado and pumpkin seeds. Yeah.
And pepper and a few red pepper
yeah.
flakes.
Yeah, okay. Well, was there anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think the main thing about eating whole, besides the marvelous health benefits, is how it tastes.
Oh.
When you do the whole foods instead of any processing, there's a richness of flavor that is unbelievable. And since we've dropped salt and oil, our taste buds have adapted and everything is like, wow, did you taste that? I can't believe how good this is. It's just so amazing. So give it a go. Do a scientific project. Make a dish with processed ingredients. Make the same dish using the whole food form and taste them side by side.
Yeah. Yeah, as you mentioned that taste thing, it makes sense to me, you know, what I was saying about the macronutrient balance and the more nutrients being in the foods. It's like there is this wonderful symphony of nutrients, which is basically what we're tasting. And so we get this lovely symphony of taste as opposed to when it's processed and it's got the extra fat. You know, when I think back to what it was, I kind of liked when Haagen-Dazs first came out, right? And it had all that extra fat. I would eat that Haagen-Dazs and go, this is the greatest thing ever. But I realize now I can remember the experience I had when I ate Haagen-Dazs. And what I was eating for is this experience kind of from here up. I was getting such a dopamine hit from that extra fat that I thought it tasted great. I thought it was, you know, the taste that was so good. But I think back and the taste was, well, it's what it was. The real enjoyment, I think, came from all the dopamine from the extra fat.
Yeah, the spiking of dopamine from the fat and sugar and salt.
Yeah. So, yeah, especially since we've gone SOS free, our taste buds have changed and we really taste the symphony. And our bodies now, as we eat without that imbalance of added fat or added sugar or whatever it is that's so common in the processed foods, our bodies, you know, I experience the taste and the flavor and the enjoyment from here down instead of from here up and just going for that sugar hit, that pleasure hit. Yeah, so we've really enjoyed the shift that's occurred.
Let's check the dish.
Well, I know that's not done yet, but you might show them
what I'm making.
Yeah, so since we've got you, this is what happens in our house in the morning. Connie makes lunch. She gets lunch ready to go.
I'll show you because I think it's heavenly.
Yeah.
Let me grab a spoon.
Yeah.
Okay, so this morning I decided to make a potato curry. And what's in this pan, which I think I'll need you to tip, Bill, so they can see it. But it's really full. I've got onion, potato, half a head of cauliflower, 4 carrots, a jalapeno pepper, and a small can of garbanzo beans and a bunch of kale torn away from the stems, and 2 cups of frozen peas. Doesn't it look good? Good, good.
What did you want me to do, hon?
I want you to tip it up just a little.
Oh,
just a
tip it so
tiny
they can
bit.
see what it looks like.
Yeah, so they can see as I sort of sift through it some of the ingredients in there.
Yeah. Well, there it
There's
is.
a nice potato.
Sure smells good. They can't see it down there. They see what's on the top of it.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I'll bring the potato up. There we go. Okay, you can set it down now. And what's so great about this, it's got curry powder, coriander, and cumin powder. And then at the very end, what will I add? I will add a 3/4 cup of cashews made into a milk. And then this will be a very creamy potato curry. So that will be our lunch. And you can see in this big pan, I've got enough for at least 2 meals for us, maybe even 3, because Bill eats a lot. And I have a good appetite too.
Yeah, there we go. So that's what we've got going for lunch. And
it'll be great.
Yeah, we've got a few more minutes to go on the wilting spinach. You want to show them your stock pot?
Oh, yeah. And one thing about this dish for lunch that I love most of all, it's a 1-pot meal. Everything goes into 1 pot. It makes it so easy and a lot less to clean up. So now this is my stock pot, of which the liquid in my potato curry comes from this stock pot. And you can see what's in it. It's got kale stems, beet tops and bottoms, carrot tops and bottoms, onion peels, tops and bottoms, squash. I did a butternut squash. It's got the squash seeds and the pulp from that, pepper, tops and bottoms from an orange pepper. It's full of goodness. And then we add water, boil it up, and then we drain it off for dishes like this. It is so good. Now, the one caveat that's so important, you don't want to do this unless you use only organic veggies, because if you put non-organic in there, you're making a stew of herbicides and pesticides.
You're concentrating all those pesticides that are on the surface of the...
Yeah. So we only use organic, and that's what goes in here and makes this divine broth.
What about fruit or avocado skins or so just vegetables?
Yeah, just veggie stock.
Yeah.
Or you can buy veggie stock at the health food store. That works too, but it's not nearly as delicious.
Yeah, I've got to say that the stock that we make has so much more flavor. And I think it's because, Connie cooks it and cooks it, so it's a lot more concentrated. There's a lot more nutrients in the stock that we make here than what you get in the veggie stock that you buy on the shelf. Again, processed foods, but they're moving in the right direction.
That's looking.
Yeah, I think we're ready to dish.
I think you can serve.
Okay, I'm gonna dish up a.
So Bill had the idea that we should do this just as we jump out of the bed. And that's what you got this morning.
This is really going to be our breakfast today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They'll see it as I put it up here.
So you can see the
gorgeous, gorgeous.
Spinach is wilted down. I don't like it to wilt it too much. I still like it to have a little bit of shape. That's the way I like it anyway. And this is going to be my breakfast.
Gorgeous.
This morning, huh? Okay.
So pretty.
There's the
first layer.
First layer. Okay, then I'm going to add my avocado, a quarter of an avocado. We'll slice that on top and get that going. That adds a nice creaminess and richness to the dish.
Yeah, you taste it, but it's subtle, but it is so yummy in there.
You taste the avocado,
Yeah.
it's noticeable. And then there's 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seed between us, so a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds each.
That gives it a good crunch and the
Yeah.
nutrients that help absorb the nutrients from the spinach
Yeah,
and
yeah.
other veggies.
So yeah, what Connie's talking about there is that there's the extra fat from the nuts, and there's the fat in the avocado. And having that little bit extra fat allows the body to absorb more of the fat-based nutrients, like vitamin E is fat-based. So you need fat in your diet to help, uptake, assimilate. Yeah, those oil-based or fat-based nutrients. So there's a little bit of black pepper, few pepper flakes, and this is breakfast.
Wow.
I can't wait.
We're so glad you joined us
Yeah.
early in the morning to see what we really do at the Kramer household for breakfast.
Right. Okay, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
Bye-bye.